Thomas Westbrook here, and you're watching Atheist Edge.
Okay, well, welcome back to Atheist Edge. I'm Jim, and we're here in a cafe with a lot of ears, a lot of eyeballs, so we're going to try to keep it down as much as we can. Sorry for the audio. I'm here with Lisa Duke. I don't know anything that she reached out to me. She has an interesting story to tell from what I understand in the email, but I just want to start fresh and just introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Lisa Duke. I'm originally from New Jersey. I grew up Catholic, and I currently live in North Carolina. And I'm visiting around here just to visit family for the holidays.
How long were you Catholic?
Probably until I was an adult. My family was the type that we went to church every Sunday, but as far as home life, it wasn't super conservative.
Right.
I remember one time we were on vacation, and he told me, I didn't want to go to church. And he said, "You never take a vacation from God."
Right.
So there's this middle ground here, where on the one hand it felt strict, but on the other hand there wasn't any real God talk at home. We prayed at dinner, but that was it.
Were you regular churchgoers, or just the twice a year type?
No, every Sunday.
In Catholicism, it's not just every Sunday, right? There's Wednesdays.
Wednesdays I had CCD.
What's that?
It's catechism. Catechism, okay. Yeah. We called it Central City Dump. But yeah, the kids would get creative with the words, but yeah, it was catechism.
Catechism, is that the wafer and the wine thing? No, that's communion.
It's just learning more about our religion, and whereas
Okay.
Baptists
have Bible study or
in North Carolina anyway, Baptists will actually go to church on Wednesdays. But no, we would
Sunday school. They call it Sunday
school, or
it's usually before the service.
Yeah.
Well, about the communion, though, you were taught at an early age about transubstantiation. Then
no, well, that's the funny part, is that
they didn't really say anything about it.
We didn't really talk about that. It's interesting because I don't feel as though Catholics were encouraged to read their Bible. I don't feel like we were discouraged, but we weren't encouraged the way Protestants were. So yeah, it's more, I'll teach you as a priest. I'll tell you what to think. The catechism was, this is how it is, and there was no encouragement of looking further into what the Bible said.
The way I see Catholicism is, you're right, like personal exploration of the religion is kind of, I'm not discouraged, but
right.
It's like secondary to going through your priest.
Right.
For when you go in the booth and you confession.
Confession, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it seems like everything in Catholicism is going through a middleman, right?
Right. Yes.
So he can interpret the Bible for you. And this, I guess it goes back to even before medieval times, the early church.
Right.
When no one could read, only the clergy could read anyway.
There you go.
So you had to get it from them.
Right.
Yeah. When you found out that transubstantiation is the actual church doctrine, is still to this day that is actually the flesh of Christ that you're eating.
Right.
How old were you then? What was the tipping point that made you go, oh, okay, this might all be just complete horseshit?
I am a known late bloomer, so there were a lot of incremental steps for me with specifically Catholicism. It was sometime around college where I stopped going to church. I didn't agree that women should not be allowed to be priests.
Yeah.
I didn't agree with, of course, the abuse that was going on with the Catholic Church, that the outing of the abuse. I mean, of course, it had been going on for a long time, but the outing of the abuse had been going on right around that same time that I was in college. I of course disagreed with that. I had friends who were gay, and I was totally about, this doesn't make sense to me. I was starting to become more liberal, and so that portion of, gays are bad, didn't sit well with me.
Is it's like a subset or denomination of Catholicism? The priests wear purple, women can be priests. It's very progressive, very liberal. I think it's, you'll be looking at it on your screen right now. I'll find it.
Well, I know people joke about Episcopalianism being Catholic.
I don't know if it's Episcopalian. There's another one. Anyway, I'll search for it. It'll be on there right now. But it's a very progressive form of Catholicism where women can be priests, gays are openly invited. Mm-hmm. You were thought about, instead of just the jump from Catholicism to where you are now. I mean, like a slow transition, or did you explore it, or?
Well, I did. I started to explore different churches because at the time I still believed in God. And of course, just being brought up in Christianity, I just naturally was drawn to that aspect. So I was thinking, I would try other things. And being in North Carolina, it was easy. I mean, going to Baptist churches, going to Methodist churches. I tried to, I went to an Episcopalian church for a very short time. So I was exploring a few other things. I even considered Buddhism for a little while. I guess I just kind of coasted for quite some time. I met my husband. He was not brought up in a religious household. They very rarely went to church at all. His dad was brought up Catholic, and his mom was actually from England. And I don't know that she went to church herself, but if she did, it would have been something very similar to Catholicism anyway.
Seems like it's a big chunk of Catholicism might just be that sense of community. It's not even so much about the beliefs to most people. It's just about that getting together and a sense of community. Because you don't really delve into the minutia of the Bible and the stories, and why the big emphasis on Mary? I've never understood that. Why is she so revered in the Catholic faith?
Right. I mean, other than the fact that she was a supposed virgin getting pregnant, and why the Protestants didn't, recognize that as amazing or
amazing, but to put her up on the same pedestal as the Savior, I just never understood that.
Right.
She was a vessel, basically.
Right. Which is what. I guess there was some movie that I had seen, it might have been like Indiana Jones or something, where they were talking about how some people think that the chalice is a representation of the vessel they talk about, but that she was the vessel.
Okay.
So there was some word that could have been seen either way.
Is that the one where he had to choose which one is the?
Yeah.
And he chose the wooden one.
The rough-looking one that would have been a carpenter's.
Yeah. When we sat down, you mentioned that maybe certain family members might not be happy about you doing this show. Well,
I haven't really come completely out yet. I've told a few friends, and of course I felt it necessary to tell my husband. The interesting thing is that my husband is not religious, but he's still spiritual.
I've never understood that. What does that mean? That can mean so many different things.
Right. Yeah. Right. So he believes in some sort of power, a higher power.
Okay.
And he claims to have had a couple experiences in his life that he feels are real, and proves that there's something out there So, and that's fine. I don't shirk him of those experiences. But I think his feathers are a little ruffled.
Is it going to cause any distress in the marriage at all?
No. This is new to us.
How long ago did you tell him you were an no shit atheist?
When I first considered myself an atheist was June of this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I think
so. It's still open wound fresh for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
think you found me through the YouTube channel.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
apparently you're watching some YouTube atheists right now.
I'm watching a lot of atheist experience, and then I'm going into Mr. Atheist, Holy Kool-Aid. Just a lot of those that are very connected. Theremin trees.
Well, I don't know about Mr. Atheist, but Thomas Westbrook was here last year. I expect to see him here in April.
Great.
Yeah, for the they call it the Faithless Forum. There's a lot of atheist YouTubers that get here.
Okay.
Meet up here in Dallas.
That's great.
Yeah. He was Godless Engineer, and Caitlin Cloy, and Anthony Magnabosco, a bunch of them were here.
Great.
What was the catalyst that got you thinking, like, was it YouTube videos? A lot of people start watching these these YouTube atheists and start, they start getting shotgun blasted in the face with all this information that they didn't know about. Like, here's what your Bible really says.
Yes.
Was it anything like that, or was it a particular book, or?
That was part of it. Well, for a long time, I had considered myself spiritual. I started to learn some things about the Bible, but I didn't do the research. I was actually very scared. I really was in a place where I had a lot of fear about what the truth was, to be honest. And I think I knew in the back of my head, but I just resisted. So, for example, when Religious came out from Bill Maher 10 years ago,
that was, man.
I really resisted watching it. I knew what it was about. I was insulted. I wasn't even religious myself, but I was insulted I felt like he was making fun of religion, and I just resisted watching it. And then I watched it for the first time this year, and I think that kind of got the ball rolling. And then my YouTube was starting to recommend the Atheist Experience to me. And the one video that popped out was not a full episode. It was the short clip where Matt and Tracy are talking to a guy talking about an abused child. And I'm better than your God because if I could, I would intervene.
Yeah, Tracy says, it's a famous quote. It'll be on your screen right now. Yeah. Something like, if your God does this, this, and this, then not only do I not accept your God, I'm better than your God, or something like that.
Maybe I said to somebody earlier today that you either have a God who sends child rapists to rape children, or you have a God who simply watches it and says, when you're done, I'm going to punish you.
Does child rapism make you mad, Matt? I mean, do you hear about that and get angry? Yes or no?
What? Do you get angry when you hear about a child rapist?
Yes.
Well, so why shouldn't God get mad when he hears about evil in this world? You tell me that.
If there was a God and he heard about evil in this world, I think he should get mad.
Well, here's the thing, though.
What the hell's that got to do with anything?
If I were in a situation where I could stop a child rapist, I would. That's the difference between me and your God.
Yeah.
Sorry, say that again?
If I could stop a person from raping a child, I would. That's the difference between me and your God. He watches and says, I'm shutting the door and you go ahead and rape that child. And when you're done, I'm going to punish you. If I did that, people would think I was a freaking monster.
Yep.
Yeah, it's classic.
I think that's the very first video I saw, and I just went down the rabbit hole, and I was like, wow. I mean, it probably only...
You resisted it because you thought it was disrespectful towards the religion. It wasn't taking a respectful look at it, or...
The best I can remember, because it's once you have a different perspective on things, it's sometimes hard to remember your previous perspective.
Yep.
The best I can remember is that I really felt like atheists just dismissed things out of hand and chided believers just because it's it's a fairy tale. I truly had no idea how thoughtful most of the atheists in the local community were. I mean, it may be different for folks around the world. I understand that, for example, people in Europe who are atheists don't hold it on their sleeve the way we do here because it's more common.
It's more common.
And here the norm is the opposite. So that's why people here are kind of creating purpurposeful communities around it.
So you saw atheists mostly as, especially on the internet, as just automatic gainsay or just naturally contrarians.
Yes.
Just to be contrarian.
Yes.
And they didn't really do any research, and maybe internet trolls or
Yes.
whatnot were just out to cause a flame war.
Yeah.
We don't have any substance to talk about.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. And
I can see that.
When I learned some of the things I learned about the Bible, about Jesus's life, I didn't even know until this year that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John weren't actually written by guys named Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
I go to an atheist and Christian book club. We meet once a month, and over half of the believers in the group still think, well, at least Luke wrote Luke. They still think that. And most of them think that they're all written by who they say they were. And despite all the evidence, they still have to believe that it was those people that penned that book, which blows my mind.
Yeah.
Just like you said, like you got to push it in the back of your head. You know it's wrong. You just don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of them are, because if you allow that Mark didn't write Mark, and the long ending of Mark. 16:9 through 20. The original Mark ends with the women running out of the empty tomb and promising not to tell anybody.
Right.
Chapter 16, verse 9, all the way to 20. That was added way later.
Wow.
It was thrown on there with Jesus' resurrection. And so they don't want to admit that either, and they don't want to admit that Mark was the first one written, and that Matthew and Luke totally copied. It was a Control-C, Control-V. I mean, it was word for word, copy and paste.
Right.
95% of Mark is found in Matthew, and 65% of Mark is found in Luke.
Wow.
And they don't want to admit that either. So all these things, this house of cards that they're building their faith on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything you would like the audience to know? You're the first Catholic we've had on, so...
Really? That surprises
I
me,
know.
to be honest.
Well, in this area, it's very heavily Protestant.
That's true.
Yeah, I've had 2 former Mormons, a Jehovah's Witness. Yeah, we booked a... who's the Bob Marley pot-smoking Rastafarian?
Okay.
But they backed out.
Oh.
Yeah, it is weird. There is a Catholic presence here. It's just not huge.
Yeah. That makes sense.
You live in North Carolina still now?
I do, and Catholics are the second highest denomination in that area. Baptist being the first. So.
There's a huge Hindu population here in Dallas Fort Worth. There's some Buddhist communities. There's a Scientology church in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And they won't answer my emails, of course, my requests, nor will the Mormon temple.
Well, one thing I can mention is that I feel like a lot of people might be in my position. They're really people my age and younger may have been turned off by Catholicism, and so we're kind of floating out there, possibly looking for other denominations, possibly looking for other religions, and then going this route. So I think Catholics are kind of the easiest to get to, so to speak, in some ways, because we're seeking something.
You had this sense of community.
Yeah.
You were part of the Catholic Church. Now do you feel something missing?
Well, no, I dived right into the local atheist community.
In North Carolina?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
So you're already locked in with
Yeah.
them. Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So once a week, I get together with this burgeoning community. I mean, they had started, I guess, in a smaller place. They've now started meeting in a slightly bigger place, and they're already starting to outgrow that. So
That is
it's
awesome.
it's really encouraging.
You want to plug them? We can put it on the.
Yeah, it's FAACT, FACT, based in Greensboro, North Carolina. It stands
it?
for Free Thinkers, Agnostics, Atheists, Community of the Triad. We call ourselves the Triad because it's Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and High Point.
Yep.
And the triangle is Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill.
Oh, Chapel Hill. That's where Bart Ehrman teaches.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's beautiful country up there too.
It is.
I took the family
I love
up,
it.
and I think it was Mount Airy. Is that near Raleigh?
Yeah, it's a little bit closer to Greensboro and Winston-Salem.
Blowing Rock. We did the whole tourist thing. It
Great
was
area.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh man. And I was
Asheville.
stationed at Camp Lejeune for 3 years.
Oh, there you
so
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
You do a lot of events. We just had here it's Metroplex Atheist. We just had Matt Dillahunty. He did a magic show for us.
Oh,
and
great.
It was awesome. And yeah, Metroplex Atheist here in town, and there's so many in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And whenever one has an event, I love it because all the other groups will, advertise. So it's like it's a network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We recently, a couple months ago, I think we had Pride, so we had a booth out for Pride.
So did we?
And,
Awesome.
Yeah, and we also did some bagging for the homeless, so getting toiletries and washcloths and socks together for the homeless in our community.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we're always, I think we're always doing something different. Recently we had a guest speaker, I'm embarrassed to say I forgot his name, but he wrote a book about the Black experience coming out, Atheist, and...
Is he a prominent Black atheist?
Yeah, I'll look it up. He wrote a book, The Emancipation of a Black Atheist, I think it's called.
Oh, maybe I don't know who this is.
Yeah, I'd love to tell you plug him too, because he
Yeah.
was great and he was hilarious too. So I love people with a sense of humor. Floated around for a long time with the spirituality, trying to develop things in my own mind of what I felt it should be about. And right towards the end there, I was starting to get into astral projection. I was fascinated by that and wondering.
We saved you in the nick of time.
Yeah, this is perfect. There is an afterlife. There, blah blah blah. That's the thing I got hung up on, is an afterlife. I think a lot of people get hung up on guilt and hell. And for some reason, that was not beat into me the way it was beat into other people. So that part didn't bother me at all.
The fire and brimstone version of hell is not as pounded into Catholics' minds as it is some Protestant denominations. I
think you're right.
Yeah, some Baptist Pentecostals. I mean, they will scare the shit out of children with it. And so it was D.K. Evans that gave the talk.
He visited our group. I think he's originally from Raleigh.
And he's the author of The Emancipation of a Black Atheist. I'll find it online.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was pretty good lecture then.
Yes.
Do you have public speakers come in like that a lot?
No, not a lot. I mean, of course, I'm kind of new to the group,
Right.
so this is the first one I have seen. But I would suspect, based on the momentum I've experienced, that maybe once a year they'll get a speaker.
Yeah, I'm sure Bart Ehrman would not come for free. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
So your husband, he knows.
That was him, by the way.
Huh?
That was him. They came in. I was trying not to stare. I'm fine with it. I'm really okay with it. He's the one
Okay.
who has to get over it.
Right. So you go to these meetings,
Yeah.
and have you once invited him?
Yeah, I invite him to.
Do you think he'll ever?
I think I'll chip away at some stuff. Yeah. I went to the Atheist experience last night. It was a replay show of some of the highlights of
But
the
you sat in the
year.
audience?
Yeah, and I sat in the audience. There
So
were
you saw the
setup.
the studio and
yeah,
everything? Cool.
Yeah, and I invited him to come with me, but he was like,
didn't.
no.
Okay. Yeah, my co-host Courtney was just down there doing it. They use the same studio for lots of different shows.
Yeah.
So the Atheist Experience, she was on Truth Wanted.
Okay.
And she was just on there a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Went down there in person. I've never actually seen the studio. I hear it's cool. It's got a library, a little lounge.
Yeah, it's just a converted house, so, one area that may have used to be a living room is the studio, and, another area is, it's pretty neat.
Our studio's not even a converted house, it is a house. But hey, is the subject of religion or atheism brought up in your house? Or does he, like, now that he knows that, I might have lost her, all right, Lisa, I don't want to,
Yeah.
I would put up a wall, or
No, we don't.
Is it discussed?
We never really discussed it before, so we're not really discussing it now. That's
But it's more part of your life now, which is the ironic
right.
part.
Yeah. I am in recovery from alcoholism, and I had already been going to AA meetings three times a week. So he was used to me going to meetings a lot, and then when I had my conversion, I stopped going to AA and I started going to SMART meetings now. Those are not as prevalent, so I'm going once a week to those.
Oh, it's once a week.
So I go once a week to SMART, and then I go once a week to FACT, and it's kind of seamless in a way. It's just different subjects.
Is it possible would it be possible to continue going to AA as a non-believer?
I did for a while, and I'll say it's possible, but it's hard.
I think it's to retain membership, but the leadership of AA says it's totally, you don't have to be a Christian. You can, when we say put your faith in something, the higher power, it could be a coffee can, they say.
Yeah.
But that just doesn't make any sense
They
to me.
say that, but to be honest, it's not easy. I've seen both sides of it now. You don't have to be a Christian to go there, but I really strongly feel that having a belief in something is pretty key. There's a lot of God/higher power talk there, and I tried that for a while after I deconverted, and it's not easy.
So the SMART is like a secular version of AA?
It's just a science-based technique of staying, and it includes lots of other people. It's not just alcoholics. It's
narcotics.
Drugs,
gambling,
sex, gambling, eating. Yeah.
Is there anything you want to plug besides your FACT? Are you working on anything? Any upcoming events?
I have been in touch with American Atheists, and I'm trying to get the entire state of North Carolina together so that we can get Jim Helton to come by and talk with us about various activism that we can get involved in. Yeah.
Are you guys you're a FFRF affiliate?
I'm not sure. That's a good question.
So,
but as far as AA goes, where Jim really wants to come down.
Oh, not FFRF, American Atheists. Yeah. He was just up in Arlington. He spoke to us and to our Metroplex Atheist group.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to go.
What I'm trying to do is get various people across the state, the coast, the mountains, and I'm having a hard time getting in touch with everybody.
That's what I've noticed is the people that the new ones are the ones that are the most energetic. Yes.
Yeah.
So we need to all feed off that energy. A lot of us, I'm a cradle atheist. I've never believed. So 50 years I've never had a belief.
Wow, that's interesting.
And so I catch myself getting complacent about it, almost apatheist, sometimes it's called. So I like this energy being brought in.
Good.
We have to channel, lock on into that and feed off of it.
Yeah.
Do you have any blogs or?
I do.
Interesting. Okay.
I do.
I'm glad I asked.
I have a YouTube channel that I'm trying to.
You got some content.
I do.
What's the name of it?
It's called How Not to Be an Asshole.
Nice. You got some videos on there already?
I do. It's mainly geared towards people in recovery, but I also talk about what we used to talk about in AA, emotional sobriety. So anyone who might be having a little trouble in their lives can watch this and get a few tips on. Anyone who feels a little troubled in their lives can take a peek and possibly get some advice on, just how to have a more positive outlook in life.
That subject is a huge hit, very popular.
Yeah.
Watch your channel explode now.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
I
we're
hope-
gonna throw it on here and try to help you get some views
I
out
would
of
love
it.
that. I would
Yeah,
love that. And
some subscribers.
my blog is the same name.
How not to be an asshole.
Yes.
All right. I like it.
Yeah. So there's that, and if you go in the About section on my YouTube, you can just click on the link and you'll jump right to it. So
okay.
I try to do both. When I do an episode, I'll also write
Mirror
about
it.
that particular subject on my blog and have it kind of be in conjunction. So.
I guess I'm super paranoid about YouTube. I feel like one day I'm just going to lose my channel for some reason. Like criticism of religion will automatically become hate speech, and my channel will get disappear.
Well, it is in the UK, so you just never know.
Is it?
Yeah, there's a place, I don't know what exactly it's called, but I don't think there's too much issue with criticizing Christianity in the UK, but criticizing Islam is a big deal.
I can almost see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mirror everything on, I re-upload on Facebook. It's not just a mirror with a link. So I just do re-upload platform where all my videos are.
Yeah.
And they're all on a terabyte hard drive anyway, which is almost full now.
That's great.
A terabyte hard drive.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. Okay. Well, I'm anxious to look at that YouTube channel now.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, it's the holidays and Lisa's in transit to go visit family. And tomorrow's Christmas, so thank you so much for coming on the show, and hope to see you again.
Yeah.
All right.
Atheist Edge. Walking the edge of what some consider offensive. But your feelings don't matter here. Only facts. Edgy commentary on the dangers of doctrine, the foibles of faith, the bullshit of belief, the stupidity of superstition, and the idiocy of indoctrination. With razor-sharp wit, curiosity, and critical thought, we take an unblinking look at today's religions. We are Atheist Edge.